Well, you know this is Personal Branding 2.0, and we are going to keep this very interactive today. We're going to give you a quick overview of who we are and what we do, and then we're going to ask you a few questions about your views on personal branding, and then dive into some tactics and ideas and save lots of time for questions.
All right, so let's jump right in.
So, I'm first.
All right.
Alphabetical.
Yeah.
So I'm Stephanie Agresta, as I said. I have actually been in online marketing for almost 15 years. I was at one of the first affiliate summits at Baruch College in, help me out, I forget what year that was. Was anyone here at the Baruch College Affiliate Summit? Excellent, great. Oh, hello. And I am currently, as of 2 months ago, I'm now the EVP of Digital Strategy and Social Media for Porter Novelli, which is a PR firm. So I was at my own consultancy, and we'll talk a little bit about how personal branding helped that transition to happen. And I also founded the Tech Set and have worked in affiliate specifically managing merchant programs for clients on networks like CJ and Linkshare for many years. So, Sarah?
Oh, hey everybody, I'm Sarah Austin, and I started off as a livecaster, which is video streaming details of your life online. And then I went into video blogging, and I started pop17.com. It's an online video show, and it talks about how people get out there online and create a personal brand and build internet celebrity. And I do social media as well. I have a Twitter account, and I go by Pop17.
I'm at Steph Agresta on Twitter, by the way, so please follow both of us.
Yeah, and you can email me too. All my contact info's up there, so you should write it down now because I'm bringing you business cards.
And the last little point here we wanted to make, just so you guys could see some of our brand associations, which is a big part of personal branding. And also disclosure, which we're going to talk a little bit about today, and some of the issues around social media and the new FTC guidelines, so that, you know, as you venture into this world, you can learn a little bit more about, you know, where you need to be careful. And Sarah has put up her sponsors. Do you want to mention your sponsors?
Oh yeah, sure. So Pop17 has had a variety of sponsorships, and see, go to the next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, there you go. So we got my sponsorships up there, and Ford, Virgin America, Intel, SeaWorld, TechCrunch, Perquet PR.
And I now, as I mentioned, am an employee of Porter Novelli, but have done work with many clients, Microsoft, PepsiCo, and this week I'm also helping with the Blogger Lounge, which is on the 3rd floor with my partner in crime with the Tech Set, Brian Solis, and that is sponsored by Vima, who gave you those great energy drinks in your bag.
And I am working with Real Time Matrix out of Berkeley, California.
Cool. All right, great. Well, just getting that out of the way. And we actually would love to know, to start with, how many people in this room consider themselves to be a personal brand?
All right, let's see, one. Keep your hands up. I just want to get a quick little poll. All right, that's good.
For those of you that do consider yourself a personal brand, we'd love to hear you, if you want to call out some of the reasons. We're gonna talk about, you know, why you consider yourself that, and also for those of you who don't, we would like to know a little bit about, you know, what, if you were a personal brand, what would you want from it? So basically, why are you at this panel? So does anyone want to just share that before we get going? Anyone? How about who here was a personal brand? Now no one's gonna.
I'm sure it's second row. What are you gonna say?
I just decided to put a spin on my personal brand. I noticed when I first got into blogging and affiliate marketing, a lot of the sites were very technical. They weren't really that fun, except for John Chauncey.
What is your personal brand, by the way?
Coolest geek on the internet.
Cool as geek. Okay, cool.
So just explain things in, you know, more layman's terms, make it interesting and, you know, cool.
Excellent. And then maybe an example of someone who is not a personal brand and what they, you know, why they might be interested in having one.
I'm not sure if I'm a personal brand or not, but I'm trying to figure out what a personal brand is and what's the advantage of a personal brand.
Okay, that's helpful.
Personal brand, it's called the Line Thinker's Journey. time management are people who are too busy to spend time on their management. They're too busy to spend time on getting more from their time.
All right. So what is a personal brand?
That is a great start.
Yeah. Anyone?
Well, we can tell. We can talk.
Okay.
So we wanted to start today with giving you some examples of people who have done a really good job of defining and becoming, quote, a personal brand, to help explain what that is. And, whether they use that language or not, well, I don't know how many of you know the folks up here on this slide, but on the internet, they're kind of well known. So people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Chris Brogan and Julia Allison and Justine are just examples of folks who do similar stuff to what Sarah does at some level, and have their own different focuses, whether it be Gary's WineLibrary.tv, Chris Brogan, who also is the author of the book that you got, I believe, if certain levels of passes checked in today, got his new book. So, for me, when I think about the definition of personal brand, I think of how individuals are able to map what they want to accomplish in business back to, a marketing of themselves as an individual, bringing to light your personality and using that personality to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve, sell more wine, sell more books, get sponsors. And we're going to talk today about the different business models as well in personal branding. But ultimately, I think we all know what brands are. We know PepsiCo, we know Microsoft, we know, McDonald's. And then, how as an individual do you learn to scale yourself at that level, right? So we don't all have marketing departments. So what are the things we can do to market ourselves and promote ourselves?
Yeah. So all of these people, they all have something in common, is their names, is they use their brand name as a brand. So, right there it says Gary Vaynerchuk. He always says Vaynerchuk. So people remember that. It sticks with them. It's got a little rhythm to it. Everyone's got that in common here. And it's important because people remember you. You might have met someone 2 or 3 times, but they can't remember you because they're just not good with names, or they are good with faces, but not names. So it's a great way to stick out from the crowd and be noticed. So it's hard to be noticed when there's so much going on, and that's something that is of value with personal branding. Also, let's say you're applying for a job, you're trying to move up in your life, or whatever you're trying to achieve. Personal branding can help you do that because people remember you, and they also can associate things with you. So everybody here also has something in common, is they build on associations with other brands. And so when they see somebody's name, like Justine, they think iPhone, right? So it's got that brand association and can help you with job security.
All of these individuals also did a great job of leveraging their assets online, so using social networks to build their personal brands, but also intersect that with real life. And for myself, someone who's been in digital marketing for a long time, the last, started off in pure customer acquisition, affiliate marketing stuff, and in the last 4 or 5 years, got more into the social media side, and started out with just getting on all these networks and then participating in a really vocal, active way, but also intersecting that with real life. So there was when I first got going, 06, 07, basically going to every conference that was focused on social media. And, quite honestly, all of those folks are self-promotional, as we are. And kind of I would argue that you have to be somewhat self-promotional to turn yourself from an individual in business to a personal brand. And how you do that is, based on you and what you feel comfortable with. But we're going to talk today about some of the sites that can help you do that. Obviously, up here, some of the key social networks like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube that have helped people drive attention. And from attention comes revenue. So, and it depends on you. Like my YouTube channel, my blog is Internet Geek Girl, by the way. And my YouTube channel, which is Internet Geek Girls, not all that active, but my Twitter and my Facebook are pretty active. So I think it depends on you, which community you feel most comfortable with.
Right. So we talked about this a little bit beforehand. Like, what sites do you have to be on to achieve your personal brand status and get what you want out of it? I think it really depends on what you're doing. For a general overview, yeah, these 3 sites are great. But if you're into something a little bit more specific, then you might end up on World of Warcraft. Like Felicia Day, for example, is really big there. There's a lot of females on World of Warcraft, and you do meet people, and it is a good way to promote yourself.
That's a really good point, too, in terms of where your demographic or your audience is going to be. Those are the communities that you need to be in. And, for me, being in the tech field, obviously Twitter and Facebook, were kind of the leading social networks that I used. Originally MySpace, but that definitely went by the wayside. And we'll talk about, when we open it up for questions, we'd love to hear a little more about, what kinds of social networks you think would be good for you achieving your personal branding goals.
Right. Like, if you're a musician, MySpace is still pretty hot for you.
Yeah,
Because,
it's very important.
Yeah, because that's where everybody's listening to music and finding new bands. And, it's not just for kids. So as you can see here, the majority of the people who are on these social networks, like Facebook, as seen here, are between 18 to 44. So a lot of people have this perception that it's all for tweens, and it's not. Actually, there's a lot of business professionals on these social networks, and you can brand yourself in that manner. So who here is on Facebook?
Almost
yeah,
everyone.
so everybody.
Okay.
And
who here has a personal URL on Facebook?
all right.
So almost everyone went and got their vanity URL.
And does anyone have a fan page? All right. Nice.
A little bit less.
A little bit less.
How many
but-
people here on Twitter? Everyone? Okay, good. Yes, Twitter, you're having an awesome time at this panel. Hashtag is ASE09. Very good. Great. So you guys are, obviously, you're all part of the infrastructure already. So the question is how to better use that and again, what it is you're trying to achieve. And so we're going to dive into a little bit more about the key behaviors around using those tools.
All right, so let's look at this. We've got brand you, so I'm going to just stick myself in the middle there. I'm online video. I've got YouTube and Vimeo, and I do like all of the sites basically because I upload my videos to TubeMogul. So I send them out to all the video sites.
Can you tell people quickly what TubeMogul does?
Yeah. TubeMogul.com sends your video to Blip TV and YouTube and Fiddler, Vimeo, all these different sites. So you can just click one button and upload them to all the different sites. And all of the same information like tags, titles, video description, links, all of that is sent to these different sites. So it just saves you a lot of time because it can be quite time consuming. So if you are into video, I would say jump into that.
I have a question.
Sure.
It's the last uncharted territory I haven't dabbled in yet. Would you say that creating more videos would accelerate your personal brand rather than blog posts and commenting and
I think it really depends. Video is projected to be 90% of video viewing by 2013. So if you want to get on track for where the views are going, yeah.
It depends, though. What if you're really not good at video?
What if you're just not meant to be on video? Then maybe not. Maybe you've got.
But I meant personality-wise, right?
Yeah.
Well, see, it sounds like you seem good to go.
But you don't have to put yourself on video, because I've got Pop 17 and now I'm hosting it, but I also have another host, Lillian Kahn, who's hosting it for me. So you can find other talent to host and be part of it, or you could just do music and visuals and voiceover. So video can be a really compelling way to send out a message, and this can be appropriate for your businesses as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree that video is a key component. I mean, all of these, we're going to talk about each one of these, but video is critical. how you use that, it depends. I mean, it can be that you have support. I mean, not everybody wants to make a video every single day, but it is a critical part of the mix. And never hesitate to have guests on your show, or if you do an interview show, or have guest vlogs or guest blogs, because a lot of times that collaboration comes through, and that helps elevate your personal brand as well.
Definitely. So just as personal brands are associating with other brands that might not be personalities, it's a key component to associate with other personal brands. So collaborations are key. Do you have a question?
What was it? Tube Mogul? Is that
Yeah.
TUBEMOGUL. Tube Mogul.
Yeah. Check it out. So let's look at social networking profiles.
We talked about those a little bit.
Yeah. So that's key. Even if you don't want to be on these sites, but you have the opportunity to get your profile, follow the news. If there's a site that's launching, go ahead and grab your name on that site. You don't have to do I love Jonas Brothers 1, 2, 3, 5, 17 or something, because everybody has that, and you don't need to compete with the other people. Like, you want to get your name on that site, because that's where the value is. You can get these other profiles and names.
And
anywhere.
obviously, differentiation is a key. The basics of marketing don't go away. You may not be a huge corporation with a marketing department, but you still have to use a lot of the same techniques. If you have a common name, obviously you need to develop that and create a personal brand in a way that does get you noticed. So
Yeah.
I know you're saying to just jump on these things to claim your name, so you have your name before no one else gets it. But do you think it's going to hurt your personal brand if you're there but not actively using it? Kind of looks like a ghost town. Makes you look very unpopular.
I think there are ways to address that. I know people who put something up on their page that says, "Hey, I'm not here. Best way to find me is over here."
Yeah.
And that's okay. I think it looks smart that you know enough to know that this is an important community where people are going to be looking.
Yeah.
But as we're going to discuss later, there's no obligation for you to be in every single community. And the fact is that takes a ton of time.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit about what's required in actually making this happen. And one of the key things on this slide is, we'll go through each individually, but the collective nature of managing all of this is a very disciplined activity. It takes a lot of effort to do this. And again, it's managing your time around how much you can commit to developing content and in fact, managing, being the marketing department for your personal brand.
Yeah, and on that note, a lot of these profiles have opportunities for you to syndicate your content. And one thing we're going to talk about is content syndication. So if you do have a lot of activity going on another site, you have an opportunity, not every site, but a lot of the time, to syndicate that content. So you can, like Friend Feed, for example, that's a perfect example. You don't have to be on Friend Feed all the time in order to get popular there. You just have to be updating your other sites, and then that syndicates back in. So as long as you've got your core sites that you're big on or that you devote your time to, then you've got a way to extend that to other sites through content syndication, which is also called RSS.
And sometimes, RSS is one form of syndication, but there are interfaces that allow you to do that as well. So, for example, I have Twitter. Twitter updates my Facebook profile. I don't go in and update my Facebook profile all the time. I just have it set up so that everything I tweet goes into my Facebook profile. Because in fact, I don't really like going to Facebook a lot. I go a few times a day, but I go to Twitter much more frequently. Mm-hmm. So I prefer to link those. And I forget, actually, does everyone, how many people here do that? Link profiles together? For Facebook, I think you just put Twitter @ and then it, or something. I forget how I did it.
There's actually a little app on Facebook that can stream your Twitter updates to your Facebook status updates.
Right.
Yeah, so applications and Facebook, and
I actually use ping.fm, and that does all of the...
Ping is a great, and so is Posterius is a new one that does that. Posterous, yeah.
yeah.
that does that as well, and Ping is great. So, this brings up another component of this world, which is there's always something new coming out. So how do busy people manage to keep up with every single new site, new tool? And for me, one way I do that, or I try to do that, I don't claim to actually keep up with everything when you get super busy, but you use curators. So, there are people that I look to that track these things and curate them. So, my colleague Brian Solis, he is up on every new startup. So if you read his Twitter, and people like Chris Brogan, and how many people here get the TechCrunch email every day? So that is one phenomenal way to know what's going on with every new tool and startup in social media. It's techcrunch.com. Sign up for the email. It comes like once a day, condensed, all their articles. And it pretty much one skim of that will keep you fairly well abreast of what you need to know. And Mashable. Did you want to mention Mashable too?
Yeah, Mashable.
Are you on their newsletter? I don't know if there's a newsletter.
I actually am not on either newsletters, but
I mean, some people, obviously, you
Yes,
can
I
read
should.
it in any, RSS reader. You just go to the site. I personally prefer just to get the email newsletter. But, I think we touched on social networks, video, mobile. We just wanted to highlight.
yeah, let's go into user-generated content first.
Okay.
So user-generated content, I don't really like the term, but that's what we're going to call it today. So let's say you post a blog and then you put it out there, hey, if you write a blog response to this, I'll link you in the blog post of mine on my blog. Or if I make a video and I put out a call for video responses, I'll approve all of those video responses so that when you see my page, you're on my page. User-generated content, let's say I put out a call to do like a collaborative video live stream. Like at CES this year, I did a collab live coverage from the Intel booth, and I had some people video cam in. I got all of the top YouTubers to come in and do a little report segment, and they went out and they made it, and then they posted it, and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going to go on because it was live, but I trusted everybody, and I just put it out there, and then they went live, and they were doing their segment, and it was great. I mean, the response that we had was so much stronger than if I had just done it on my own. And then I reached all of their fans and all of their friends. So it was this really large reach overall. And so that was all because I put the message out there, hey, everybody, I'm going to be doing this live coverage from CES talking about launching products and gadgets. And if you would love to come and contribute, let me know, and I would love to have you. And so I got a big response from that, and everybody was making videos about it. And then not just the people who were on my channel, who I put through my video stream and featured them, but people were also making videos about it. So I went on YouTube later just searching Intel, CES, booth, Sarah Austin. And I saw all of these video responses coming in of people just saying, oh, this is going on, and basically video blogging on YouTube about me video blogging with the other YouTube celebrities and them just talking about, hey, that's cool, and then they get comments. So it really goes on and on and on. And that's the best way to reach a lot of people.
I think that story brings up a great important point of all of this, which is collaboration. We touched on a little bit before, but working with your colleagues and other people in your segment or your industry to, kind of promote each other. That's a really important piece of this. You're not going to get very far if you just kind of just self-promote and you don't also, work and give. It's like the good old karma, give to receive idea. I amplify and help. If I see one of my friends or colleagues that has a message they want to get out, I'll retweet that a lot. So retweeting is one way you can kind of show that link love to your friends, and then people do respond in kind.
Definitely. And also just let go a little bit with the user-generated content, because a lot of people want to prove everything that goes up, but sometimes it's more effective just to be a little bit more secure with letting go. So
We're going to talk a little bit about mobile too, and then we're going to just dive into questions.
okay, yeah. So who has an iPhone?
Wow.
Yay. I had 2 iPhones, but I lost them both. So I decided just to stop spending all this money on my phones, and I'm actually getting another one because the 3GS, I just can't resist it. It's gonna be my 3rd iPhone. But you know, who in here has 2 mobile devices? So you know, not as many, but still. And would you say you spend more time on your mobile devices than you do on your computer or your laptop? I see a couple heads nodding, but most people are saying no, shaking their head. And then I see. Yeah. All right. Well, you know, there's still a small market of mobile, but mobile's huge. And I do live casting from my mobile phone, so I can go live and share my experiences throughout my day with my friends, family, and fans, and let them know, like, hey, I'm at the Museum of Natural History, and this is the meteorite display. Or I go to a lot of museums and live casting. I'm at the Met, and Jeff Koons is doing an art display on, here it is, you know, and or maybe there's something that happened, like something that happened on the street, and I want to do some citizen journalism. Who knows what's going to happen, but I have my mobile phone, and with Quick or Flixwagon, I can just go live and share that experience. So
You can also use TwitPic, obviously.
Yeah.
That's another great tool.
And Twit Video is new, so twitvid.io is another site where you can share your videos. So it's just a great way, you know, and then all the applications with Twitter, you can update mobile. So it seems like that's a great way to brand yourself. If you want to be on the go, but you still want to publish, then, you know, just download some apps and
Or make one. I mean,
Yeah.
if you have the resources, that does obviously take real money to go build your own iPhone app. But if there's some reason why you wanted to interact with your audience in that way, it's definitely, becoming more and more prevalent.
On the other end of that, on the like the HTML side, or designing your online personality to be accessed via mobile. I know I have an NB, and if I'm sitting in traffic or along the subway or something, I'll just flip it open and go on the internet and check things. But there's a lot of things that aren't written for mobile internet. Do you think that it's worthwhile to build on your user end so that people can view it easier on the mobile or faster on the mobile? I mean, if I can view your blog in 2 seconds on my phone, and someone else's blog in like 25 seconds, depending on how much crap I have to go through, I mean, is it worthwhile to put in the time to build a mobile version, or do you think that it's not really a big market for people viewing it mobily?
Yeah, well, a mobile website or an application, both of those you should definitely consider for your personal brand. So if you have a blog or a website, then do that.
Just to add to that, I
Mobi.
think that, you say right up there, iPhone owners are still a small portion of the market, and really, smartphones are still a lot smaller, and the amount of the web people view. So I think you really do need to look at how many users do I have? Am I losing a lot of users? And how much is it going to cost me to build, and maintain a mobile version of the website? So I don't know there's across the board answer to that one.
Yeah.
I also think that you have to look at it from an ROI perspective. I mean, as a company, yes, the answer is unequivocally yes. As a company, you need to have your content accessible on all mobile platforms, especially because in most parts of the world, many people access the internet predominantly through mobile phones. But as a personal brand, I mean, the fact is more than likely your blog is going to be on WordPress or on, Blogger. And those companies do, actually, I think WordPress actually is pretty good on my iPhone. And they do have an iPhone app as well, so you can update your blog on your iPhone. But, I think it really depends. Most people are just you're going to be promoting yourself through existing platforms like Twitter, like Facebook, which all do have excellent mobile platforms. So we're just going to kind of skip here we want to talk a little bit about, just some basics around, do you need to be on every? We kind of went through that a little. A lot of this feels kind of overwhelming. It's like how much time do you really have to spend updating every single one of these sites? We talked a little bit about how syndication can help there, and we do both feel you should grab when you establish what that personal brand is, you should grab it on as many sites as you can. But the fact is, based on where your audience is and what your personal tastes are and your personality, you're probably going to gravitate toward one mixture of social networks. Obviously, these ones we put up here include, and Flickr, we haven't brought up Flickr yet, but Flickr is one that I actually do spend a decent amount of energy on because I upload all my pictures on Flickr, and I do think that it's actually one of my favorite social networks because it's the people I'm friends with on Flickr are actually mostly people I know, and it is a great way to kind of filter and look through what all your friends are doing, what events they're going to. And then I personally also benefit from LinkedIn. I think it is incredibly important from a business perspective to be on LinkedIn.
Yes, definitely. I agree with these sites as well. Flickr, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook are my top sites.
So let's get into the benefits of all this and then open it up for questions. Obviously, if there are folks in the room that are affiliate publishers, this is a lot of it, it's traffic. It's the more you interact in an authentic, transparent way. I think you do need to, if you are trying to monetize with affiliate links, you need to be 100% disclosed, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But if, sometimes it's just a promotional vehicle, and if people are your friends and they are interested in what you have to offer, then, that can obviously increase your traffic to your site. But I don't, it's not just about traffic. A lot of times people get into this because they want to build up, their own personal consultancy or get a job, as Sarah mentioned. And, in general, just kind of increase your reputation for whatever whatever your personal goals around this are. Do you have to add anything to that? Why did you?
Job security.
Job security.
Yeah. Job security is a great reason to build a personal brand. You can leverage it,
That brings up a lot of issues around building your personal brand inside a company, and what happens when people leave companies. And for example, a friend of mine, Scott Monty, he's the head social media guy for Ford, and he's often discussed how is it that his personal name, Scott Monty, it's Ford's social media strategy goes well beyond one person. And that's something to keep in mind. It's a very dangerous thing to associate your personal brand with a company too much, because you may not work for that company in 2 years. So you still have to keep your personal brand. And I think the way to approach that is always to just be very clear about, I still tweet for, at Steph Agresta, but everyone knows now I work for Porter Novelli. But, we have certain guidelines in a company, but they map to exactly the kind of guidelines I would tell people about being appropriate on social networks. So, I don't curse, I don't say crazy things on Twitter, but I wouldn't, it doesn't matter who I worked for, I wouldn't do that anyway. It's not my style. But, so I think that it's very important to recognize that it can help you in your job, but that you have to be very careful to still own it yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Just don't try and do too much brand association, but a little bit is good, and diversify. Try and make yourself stand out. Do it a little bit different. Don't try and do what everybody else is doing, but look at what everybody else is doing and try and learn from that. So you can definitely try and copy people, but don't copy and paste.
Sarah, what did you mean when you said job security?
Job security. So you'll probably get more job offers. If you get laid off, you'll have jobs lined up because you're getting job offers all the time.
Because you have a brand?
Because you have a personal brand.
And also because I think social media is hot, right? Like people
Yeah.
are looking for people who know how to use these tools. So if you know how to use these tools and, you're trying to either, get a new job or improve your current job, it's a very important skill set that is becoming much more valued in the marketplace. Okay, so we're just going to take a bunch of questions
Yeah,
now.
what's your question?
What if you get to the game a little late and somebody already has, your name that you've already used elsewhere? So if I go onto, Facebook or Twitter and somebody already has my name, if it's a common name, are there any suggestions on how to work around that?
What is your name?
My name's Steve Nassau, but
Uh,
we're talking about also from a business perspective and stuff like that.
For your company's name? So there's different ways to approach that. I mean, you can, if the other person is just as equally, has just as much a right to have that domain, if you will, you can, just kind of create another spin on it. Like, it's hard for, I'm trying to think of, what's the name of your company?
Well, I have a few travel sites. So, like one that I'm launching now is Sail New York City.
Sale New, okay. And is that taken on a lot of social networks?
That one I haven't checked out. I'm asking from a more general perspective because I've run into a few situations where, other names have already been taken.
I think what she's asking is, do you have a trademark right to that name? Is that where you're going?
Yeah, we'll get a trademark.
That is an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel like someone is squatting and you own a trademark, then you actually can go to the social networks and, they will actually help you. Twitter has done that for a lot. They have verified accounts now.
Yeah. Twitter's really good.
But
at
I think
that.
on a personal branding, more than likely, that's not going to, so a lot of people have the same name. So one way to do that is, you want to keep the consistency of your brand. So you don't want to kind of mess up your name, but you can start with you can do underscore something else. So maybe if you're Steve, did you say Nassau?
Yeah.
Steve Nassau underscore chef, or, I don't know what it is. There's ways of kind of adding numbers and underscores and the real's a
Yeah,
popular
the
one.
real, yeah. What's your question?
Good.
Are there ways, and I don't mean to sound like I'm not doing anything nefarious or anything like that, but it just, I mean, I have little kids, okay? So like, is there ways to kind of have some kind of security? I mean, there's some crazy people out there. I mean, I think what you guys are saying sounds really exciting, and I'd like
Right.
to do it, but I always worry about,
Your
what do
kids.
you guys do in the way of trying to protect yourself that way?
That's a really, really important point. And you have to, in social media, I believe that you kind of get to this, you have to have a certain amount of trust in the community,
Right.
but you also trust but verify, right? So you have to be smart about the amount of personal information that you reveal.
Like I have two little girls, twin girls, and I don't want to put their pictures up.
Then don't. Yeah, I don't recommend.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people should put, personally, I don't have any kids, but I wouldn't put
Right.
tons of pictures of my kids up on the
Stuff
internet,
like
for
that,
sure not.
so,
Or once they get old enough to be on computers, and you feel,
yeah,
how
they're on, but
how old are they?
They're 7.5.
7.5. So
I
that's
just
about
don't
the
want
time.
crazy people
Yeah,
looking
no,
and
that's-
looking,
The
You know,
ways you
share
do that
the
is,
experience with your kid. Like, put the computer in the living room and have
Well,
your
I'm not
kids
worried about the
open
kid
and
getting on the
talking.
computer. I'm worried about me having a Facebook profile, which I have, but I've never put pictures of my kids up there because I don't want some crazy person
yeah, I think
seeing
that's,
my kids. That's what I'm
and keep
worried
in mind
about.
that you
It's like,
you get to
you running around
choose.
saying with the museum. I mean, that I think it's cool, but I'm always scared for myself. Like, how far do you go?
I would stay away from location-based services. I also don't really use that. It's not me. But, I also don't put your address out in places like your real address. I also think that you keep in mind, everything is you approving that person. Not everybody can see your content. You can, I recommend if you're trying to do it for business reasons, you want to keep your content as open as possible. But, if you find anyone that you feel is inappropriate, you can block them on a lot of these different sites.
With the watch on, right there. Yeah, you. With the watch. No, sorry, the guy.
The guy. We'll get
He
you
was-
next. You're
he was
next.
first.
There's another watch behind me.
Yeah,
It's hard to see. Sorry. There with the glasses.
with the
yeah.
glasses. Yeah.
I think that one thing, just in response to last, is whatever you're on, look at the privacy settings. I mean, Facebook's privacy settings are incredibly complicated, but they do allow you to say, these people can see this, these people can see that, these people can't see that. I think one thing
Yeah.
that I found very useful in building a personal brand and professional relationships is that social media has allowed me to personalize relationships that would otherwise be simply professional. In other words, people who I, would otherwise only talk to a few times a year now see pictures of me with my family, or see what I'm doing, or that I went to a concert, or that I'm interested in this, or that I bought it. So it's not all professional information, but suddenly we have a bit of a friendship in addition to that. So I would be
Right.
careful of blocking out completely your personal life.
Right.
More being saying, how much of my personal life do I want to reveal to the world?
I agree
and
with that.
what levels of privacy? Because you don't want people stalking your kids, but at the same time, you might want people to say, hey, hey, I've got kids, I've got a family, hey,
Well, you want to share a more personal part and be humane and tell people, like, look, I have a personality, I have a life, I'm doing that, but I also have a professional side, so.
You're building a real relationship.
How about
Yeah.
the woman in the white here first?
Okay.
I have two questions. One question is, how can we make money as affiliate on all these social networks? Another question is, since it's personal brand, let's say you build a brand, but then I check with the lawyer, they said the people can sue you as a person, as a blogger. Just they can sue you as a person instead of, even if you have a company, they still can sue you as a person.
Well, anyone can sue anyone.
Yeah.
It's America. So, yeah, I think what you're saying.
Personal losses opposed to corporate.
Well, first of all,
Well,
you
it's
should
good to
always
have a company,
You blog
right?
for the company, they still can sue you personally.
Oh, if you're blogging for your company?
Yeah, even blog for companies, they still can sue you. I checked with the lawyer.
Well, yeah, they can sue you.
You as a person.
Anyone can sue you for anything.
Well, I mean, if you are libelous, and your company should vet anything you're publishing for their own standards, because they would definitely go after the company as well as the individual. If you're an individual, like as a small consultancy, I'm an LLC. Obviously, you protect yourself that way. But I think that there's two parts to your questions. I'll start with the second part in terms of your responsibility. Not every blogger is a journalist, okay? So some people are marketing consultants, some people just do it as a hobby, but there's still more and more people are wanting to monetize this content. It takes a lot of time. I mean, most people don't want to just do this, and obviously we're all here because we care about monetization at this conference, and you want to get an ROI on the time that you're investing in this. So I think that, there are many ways to do that. First off, through clearly defined ads on your site, sponsorships, but that all again has to be clearly stated so that there's no confusion as to what is sponsored content and what is, editorial content. We'll talk a little bit more about this, but you'll see what's coming out with the FTC guidelines. There's a big conversation in the community, and we're publishing a white paper on this. It'll be on the homepage, I believe, tomorrow at porternovelli.com, so you can download my white paper. And I'll have copies for it for anyone who wants it tomorrow in the Blogger Lounge. Basically, you are responsible for what you publish. And the interest for the FTC is to make sure that consumers know what they're getting. So we recommend that you be as authentic and transparent as possible and disclose and add to your blog, I am sponsored by these companies. In terms of affiliate links, they're actually directly addressed in these guidelines. This conversation brings up affiliate links a lot. And Copyblogger, you guys know Brian Clark, who will be speaking, I believe, at the show, has some great information for publishers around how you can disclose in a way that actually increases your click-through. So the more you are honest with your audience and build trust with your audience, the higher likelihood you're going to, get the conversion that you're looking for. And I do think that, affiliate links are definitely going to come under review in this. Just embedding a link. I mean, it may go so far as to have to say, like, this is an affiliate link. So you definitely need to keep an eye on what's happening with the FTC guidelines.
I think that you with the bangs there, you've had a question.
I was just wondering if you guys know of or can recommend any reputation management tools Is there anything that you guys?
Google Alerts is the best tool.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of paid subscription-based tool that you can use?
Yeah, there's a Tracker, Trakkur. It's a little pricey. I haven't personally decided to subscribe to it, but
Yeah, yeah, there are lower cost, management listening tools, we like to call them. But Radiant 6 is a great one. What are some of the People Browser, which is
Oh,
free.
yeah.
It's PeopleBrowsr. That's a great site, and it's a new startup that, and that's completely, I think, in beta or free for now. Here?
Just a question about personal brand. Do you feel that it should always be your name? I'm a life coach, and I'm hoping to be the IKEA of coaching on the internet. So right now, my company's name is The Coach Shop. It has 2 P's.
The Coach.
Coach Shop.
Okay.
So SHOPPE. People spell that incorrectly, obviously, but my name, I think, comes up much more on Google than The Coach Shop does.
what's your name?
Kim Ann Curtin, Curtin. So I'm trying to, figure out, is my brand the Coach Shop, or should my brand be my name?
I'd say do your name for your personal brand, and then for your business, be the Coach Shop.
You definitely should have both, right? Because you're going to have the question is, how scalable do you want your company to become? You may have other people working for the Coach Shop who are going to participate and help manage that brand online. So that shouldn't be all about Kim. But I do think you need to have both so that you can, Kim can help promote the Coach Shop. It's kind of hard to say. And I do think you should be aware of misspellings and look for, getting SHOP and then saying redirect to Coach Shop. But, it just really depends on your goals. Is it, if you're going to scale the company, then I believe in not associating your personal brand too much with a company brand. My company's name before I started at Porter was Stephanie Agresta Consulting. So it's the same thing. It doesn't matter.
What do you feel about .me domains versus .com?
.me.
.me.
I don't
say
use
go
it,
for
but-
the .com.
Of course, but if it's not available, you think the .me is a acceptable alternative?
I know people have used that for a hub page for like
For like a day, like if you need it. I'd say go for the .com. That's like the .tv thing. I mean, it's like internet's the new television.
Yeah, he does.
Not-
Ted does.
it's not.
And he does TED.me.
Ted.me.
So I just using him as an example, he does a great job of it.
Yeah, he does. I mean, it depends on how you want to manage it. I mean, the fact is, you can have all these social networks, but it's also good to have one site where you actually fully control the back end, like whether it be your blog or a .me page, but you have to have the technical resources to update that page. I'm less concerned about the domain and more concerned that you're doing something that you actually are going to go and update. That you have the ability to easily update frequently, because that is how you build audience, is doing it frequently.
Yeah, cheers. And you have a question?
Kind of related to what she was saying over there. What happens if your name changes and you've built up this whole personal brand, especially as a woman,
I did that. I changed my name. So.
Yeah, tell them why you changed your name.
Okay.
And I have an answer to that too, as a woman who hopefully is getting engaged.
I didn't get
next
married.
year.
Yeah. Still single. But I started off, well, it's kind of a long story, but I started off when I was a teen doing all this personal branding stuff. And my dad was like, you should use Sarah Myers because it's your grandma's name. And I don't want anyone to know who you are. Because he's really protective, and he's a sweet dad. So he was just trying to look out for me. So I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I put out my videos, and it was Sarah Myers, and I built up a really big brand around Sarah Myers.
That was like 2 years ago, was it?
Yeah, and so a year ago I changed it to Sarah Austin. And at first people were like, whoa, this is really crazy. And I was like, no, well, I mean,
why did you though?
I told people from the beginning, like, oh yeah, it's not really my name, blah, blah, blah. Why did I change to Sarah Austin? Because I felt like it. Because I didn't like Sarah Myers, and it's not my name. And it felt like
Fake.
after a while, it's just so fake. And I never responded to it. People were like, Sarah Myers, and I just would walk by because I didn't respond, you know. So and also Sarah Austin sounds a lot better, I think.
So what started as a way to protect yourself eventually became a drawback because you were successful at what you did.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I went to go, I was thinking about that this week when we were working on this presentation, and I couldn't remember what the other Sarah's last name was. Like, I tried to remember what your
What's
name
Sarah
was.
Myers?
I couldn't remember Myers.
See, people's attention span is
Are short.
so short. Like, it doesn't matter about what you did 6 months ago. The only thing that matters is now.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, I have my soon-to-be fiance knows that I'm not changing my name. And this actually came up kind of recently with his parents. And but I personally, I mean that's every woman's personal choice. I mean, I have spent 20 years in business as Stephanie Agresta, and I don't feel that it's a good last name and everything. But I just don't want to. It's a personal choice. I've invested a lot in the equity of Stephanie Agresta.
Can't you keep that name though as your brand and just,
Yeah, I did. I haven't researched that yet. I was going to check that out.
that would actually say your name.
We're not. I haven't gotten that far.
You could do that.
I kind of want to know a little bit more about the when you did start at Sarah Meyer, because I have the issue of my name is so common. So.
What is your name?
Heather Mitchell. And so, I mean, like, when Facebook had their notice out, I was waiting and watching. And on there, no, it's gone.
Oh.
Somebody in college who had the same first, middle, and last name. I mean, it just is. So,
It's hard, yeah.
So on the one hand, I don't want to do the fake thing because that seems kind of lame, and I totally believe in the transparency and understand that. And on the other hand, that whole thing of getting long and saying, Heather Mitchell 17245, or I mean, it's.
What about Heather Mitch? Or like, I mean, is there any kind of like spin on it? Or
I tried so hard, even my middle name is kind of unique. It's Leiga, so I even.
L-E.
Lay.
It's Lee, but it's
Oh, Lee.
Leiga.
Okay.
I know that's taken too. So, it's like.
He does, Steve.
Steve Hall was taken 30,000 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Common name. I can't get it. I've asked the guy for years if I can have it. He's a professional musician. He's never going to give it up. So I tried every iteration of Steve Hall. So I ended up with stevehallismyname.com.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty stupid, but
No, but it's.
it's something.
Yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like what they do with the movies now, because like every movie title, the domains are gone, right? So they're always like, The Hangover, the movie.
Yeah.
Hangover, the movie, right? So I don't even know if that's right. I just made that one up. But it's the last movie I saw, which shows you how I don't go to the movies.
And a question for Steve, was that successful? Did you see people remembering your site?
I don't really write much, but that goes into the whole other branding.
But everyone knows you as the Ad Rants.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
That was actually intentional when I started. But now I'm sort of shifting because I may not have ad reps for the rest of my life.
Right. No, and we talked about that. How you find the balance between a personal identity and a brand that you're also benefiting from. I mean, obviously, you benefit by associating with a company that you own or are running. And how do you kind of keep those in check? I think that you have to have some variation on your personal, even if it's Heather Mitchell from NYC. I got my friend Jeremy Rosenberg, who I work with. He's Jeremy of NYC. He did that everywhere, on every network for the last 5 years or 10 years. So he owns all of them. Some geography, something that's your favorite, your hobby or the thing you want to be known for. And try to create a variation based on something that speaks to who you are and that's very relevant.
Yeah.
Here.
How do you combine your small business personal brand? Like, you don't want it to be all over the world. You want the people in that city, perhaps surrounding cities, to know you. So how would you, implement that?
Oh, you mean by putting geography in there?
Yeah.
Like what kind of a small business?
I don't know.
Dry cleaner? A dental office? I think that, first of all, there's a lot of aggregating sites that go by geography. So there's tons of dental search sites, right? So, you want to be in all of those so that people are going to find you by location or zip code-based services. But
But that's not really a brand. They're just like, what's the closest thing? You want to differentiate yourself, not just be the top of Google.
okay, so you're saying you want to be the top locally.
No, I'm saying not just that. I want people to recognize the brand beyond just being Google ranked. You know what I mean? No?
Okay.
Like,
In the real world, like,
you want,
online world?
like online,
I mean,
you
is
want
it?
to
I mean, how many
associate-
dentists do different kind of things besides doctor, whatever?
Not a lot right now.
Right. So I would say the differentiator there for me would be create a brand around dental services that tells people who you are in a way that's not just the dentist X. Like we have one by us called the scared patient or something. I don't know. It's like I forget what it's called, but it means like people who are scared to go to the dentist. Like the chicken shit patient or something. And that's how they I forget the word, but that's their brand of their dental agency, which I'm totally screwing up. Sorry.
I have a double side questions related. One is, how long did it take you two before you started turning the corner and when you started seeing like a return on investment in your personal brand? Meaning,
It's a great question.
now people are starting to say, "Oh, Stephanie Greston." It's like
Right.
ding, and Sarah Austin, ding.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
How do you measure the ROI on spending all this time? Because I've been working on it for like a year, and I want to see more results. So I'm like, how long is it?
I don't
I
think,
think 2 years.
it's different for everyone. I mean, as far as changing for Sarah Myers, it was overnight. For Sarah Austin, it took about a year. Now people are like, you're Sarah Austin, that's my brand, and people don't remember Sarah Myers. But like when I remember it was my first tech party that I went to, and
When was that?
well, the one that I was like invited to. I don't know. You guys probably don't know this, but when I had like a viral hit overnight. I didn't even know what a blog was, and it was me crashing into this TechCrunch party at August Capitol, and I just saw some post on Craigslist, and I was like, "That's a good YouTube video," because I was big on YouTube back then, but I didn't know anything about blogs. And so I show up, I crash the party, and
I remember that.
no, I got kicked out. Like no one knew who I was. But then the next party I went to, because it was all over, TechCrunch and Valleywag and whatever, blog wrote about it. Everyone was like, "You're Sarah Myers." I was like, "Yeah."
So I think that's like asking how long does it take to get famous in in Hollywood or something. Like it depends, right?
Inadvertently answer the question. I mean, because like everybody in this room obviously has the same goal. What's going to be that thing that breaks out one person from this whole group? So we're sitting over there next year. You know what I mean?
I'd say like try and find something that stands out. Like crashing into a party wearing a wig and whatever. That definitely stood out. And plus, I didn't know anything, so I was funny. People are like,
you probably didn't like plan it out for months that you were going to do it.
no. Yeah, but now I'm in the business of this, and now it can be calculated, and you can actually work towards it. You don't know when it's going to happen for you that you hit your stardom, but with pop17.com, I have
micro stardom,
micro celeb. I have been tracking personal brands and following this, and it seems like for most people, they work on it for a really long time, like a year or 2 years, 3 years, and then they get one blog post or one video that just sets them over the top, and that does it for their personal brand.
But I would also emphasize, again, just coming back to the discipline nature of it, too, because
they're not just putting out one video and then they make it. Like, they had been blogging every day.
There has to
for
be
like a year.
consistency. And also, for me, one thing that helped me was the interaction with real life. Like, I went everywhere. I mean, I had a business and traveled to shows and spoke at shows, but you make yourself known at a show, talk to people in real life, network. I mean, there's some basics of just personal networking that apply. And then making sure that after you have gone, let's say you go to an event and you get a lot of business cards, make sure you go back and link all of the people you met to your different networks.
Yeah.
That also takes discipline.
LinkedIn.
So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into the day-to-day management of keeping this up. And, you have to be willing to put the time in, or it could take, 5 years.